Savage Recover here, back for another one. So I got an article from Fox News that's about the deaths of this weekend, and this shit is bullshit. Alright, we're gonna get into this article, guys. Before we get into it, do me a favor. If you could, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, get my notifications. If you haven't heard, I had just dropped some new merch today. Check it out at my Teespring store, which is down in the description. Also, I have a second channel that I just started. The link is also down in the description. It's not going to be content like this, but I do appreciate. Give me a like if you would, and leave me a comment telling me what you think about this. So over the 4th of July weekend, shootings result in deaths of at least 6 children. 6 children were killed on the 4th of July. That is horrible. A group of American families and communities are in mourning Monday following shooting incidents over the 4th of July weekend that resulted in the deaths of 6 children, the youngest just 6 years old. The fatal incidents come as shootings are on the rise in places like New York City and continue to persist in Chicago, where a girl attending a holiday party was among the recent victims. Tonight, a 7-year-old girl, Austin, joined a list of teenagers and children whose hopes and dreams were ended by a barrel of a gun. Mayor Lightfoot said on Twitter late Saturday following the death of Anila Wallace, I'm sorry if I butchered that, who police say was fatally shot in the head while standing on the sidewalk at her grandma's house during a 4th of July party set at around 7 p.m. So here is some photos of these children. From the left, you have Devon McNeil, Natalia Wallace, Royta Giles Jr., and Samaria Turner. I apologize if I butchered those names. I'm sorry. As a city, we must wrap our arms around our youth so that we understand there's a future for them that isn't wrapped up in gun violence, Lightfoot added. Okay, so the problem with this is they're not stopping Black Lives Matter. They wanted it because some of these shootings were related to Black Lives Matter. There was a child that was shot because the person in the car crossed over the passed through the barrier, and they let off rounds into the car. These Democratic mayors and Democratic states need to crack down on the lawlessness that's going on. The defunding the police, ever since they decided to have riots, protest, and defund the police in these cities, crime has gone up, shootings have gone up. Like Ricky Smiley is reporting that his daughter got shot down in Houston. Like, this is ridiculous. This lawlessness cannot happen. Like, if all lives matter is racist, then why is it that Black Lives Matter doesn't talk about the black cops that are being killed, the black people that are killed? And if you want to say that pigs are pigs and you don't want nothing to do with the police, and they, like, fine, okay, but children, these children had a future ahead of them. Like, there was nothing but hope going on for these children, and it was taken away. And it's not even gang violence, it's not even these kids were doing something wrong. These are just these governors and these mayors letting their city go to hell. And this is sad. These families need to sue these cities for letting the lawlessness go on. In New York City, violence killed 8 during 4th of July weekend. The violence began Friday afternoon in Hoover, Albany, maybe, when 8-year-old Roy Giles Jr. was shot in the head at the River Chase Galleria Mall. At the mall, this kid got killed. Galleria Mall, yeah. Hoover Police Chief Nick Diza said Montes Coleman, and 22-year-old who is now facing a murder charge in connection to the death, had got into an argument with a group of other males near the mall food court on the first floor and fired a handgun that had been concealed in a backpack. Durst says that several of the others had handguns and immediately returned fire. The police have not said publicly who fired the shots that struck Giles and the other victims, a man, a woman, and a girl. All have been released from medical care, and at least 3 people fired guns, according to the police, adding that multiple shots were fired in seconds. The mall was evacuated afterward. In South Carolina, a nightclub shooting leaves 2 dead, 8 hurt. This is sad. This is sad. So, the 4 attackers fled the scene and no one was arrested, and this is in Chicago. Lightfoot says we must continue to invest in our street outreach work and in police community relationships and healing those who have been harmed by violence so that we can stop the cycle of retaliation. As a city, we must wrap our arms around our youth so that they understand there's a future for them that isn't wrapped up in gun violence. Do you know what you do? You practice law and order, because without the police and without there being law and order, criminals and opportunists are going to commit more crimes. When people know that they're not going to get in trouble, they are going to commit more crimes. It happened during any, like Katrina, like any national disaster. When society starts to crumble under the damage, things happen. It gets worse. Not even that, but the fact of the matter is 80% of all murders in Chicago go unsolved. People are quick to kill people where they have a good feeling that they're going to get away with it. This needs to stop. I'm going to tell you right now, if had that been one of my kids that got shot, I would have made sure that their death was not in vain. And the mayor and the police would not have told me anything different. This is crap. There does not need to be, on a weekend, children dying. Chicago had like the worst day ever on Father's Day and Memorial Day. Like, Chicago is on track to double as many murders as they had last year. Double. Like, this is senseless. Like, these politicians don't care. In Atlanta, there was an 8-year-old that was killed. Like, this is ridiculous. California girls 11 and 12 fatally shot at birthday pool party. At a birthday pool party, man. Like, this makes me sick. This is really, really sick. Really sick. Like, I can totally understand the idea of self-defense. I can totally understand the idea of street codes of you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Like, I was underneath that code for years. But when you move in a gang and you move in a organized criminal enterprise, you need to work under the codes. Civilians are not supposed to get hit. You're not supposed to be just doing stuff in the open. Like, you're supposed to be responsible for what you do. Like, the problem with all these young cats and all these people is that they've fallen away from the codes and that they're just out here being reckless. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a savage, but you can't just be a savage to innocent children and innocent people. In the 50s and 60s, gangsters had codes. My family had codes. Like, you're supposed to not harm women and children. Like, you're not supposed to do stuff around women and children. Only people that are under the code get dealt with. It's not supposed to be their family members that have nothing to do with it. Children are supposed to be off limits. You're not supposed to be having casualties of children. These dudes aren't even gangsters. These dudes aren't even tough. And I hope when these dudes get locked up, if they do, I hope the the real gangsters in prison, I hope they make these dudes' lives miserable. And I'm going to tell you they will, because those guys that aren't going home, that don't get to see their kids, they do not take it kindly when any sort of crime happens to children, because they'll never get to see their kids. Never. So they make the people that come to the inside for hurting children, they make their time very, very, very miserable. And any dude that lets these guys get commissary or lets these motherfuckers eat, like, you guys aren't G's. You guys are pussies. You bet, like, these dudes better have a miserable time. I hope that every single waking moment of their lives while they're locked up, they live in constant fear of not knowing if it's going to come right then or that day. I think this is bullshit, and I think this shit needs to stop. And we need to start standing up, and we need to start getting these dudes off the street. Like, if you ain't gonna be able to take care of your business without hitting kids and shit, you have no business being on the street. This, like, I was all about the no snitching policy. I was all about committing crimes and getting away with it. But I grew up. I got sober. I quit committing crimes. And that shit's lame. Like, that's lame. Like, I understand if you're young and dumb and you make mistakes, but at some point you got to grow the fuck up and grow some fucking balls and become a man, take care of your business. And if you can't even do the, like, everyone gets caught, but if you can't even hit your target and make it to where you're not shooting kids, then you have no business doing this. Like, there's no reason for it. You don't need to be in a fucking mall busting shots at people. That's ignorant as hell. And you make all the dudes that live under that code look like pieces of shit. You guys tell me what you think in the comments. I can't do this anymore. Like, this is gonna make me sick. You guys stay savage.